you smell what the Rock is cooking?
WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Tell me he didn't just say that.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
The Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey, ooh yeah.
And now, here's your host of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon Aries.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Really? Yeah!
Hello and welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Aries live with you here. Thanks for bearing with me last week on a very sleep-deprived, shortened... Well, the show was the same length. I think my energy was short at that point because I was recording the show a mere hours before hitting the road to go north of the border up to Canada, but I'm back, and we certainly have an ample amount of items to talk about, as it seems like we do every week. Of course, Raw leading up to the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. We're only 8 days away. That's right, only 8 days away from Money in the Bank here in the Philadelphia area down at the Wells Fargo Center. And actually, WWE is going to be in Trenton. That's right, WWE is going to be at the Sun Bank Center 1 week from tonight. That's right, the 13th of July. Kind of a warm-up to Money in the Bank. And a little bit later this hour, I will have tickets to give out to said show in Trenton 1 week from tonight. And in a bit of a programming note, I found out that next week I've been bumped from the airwaves, at least for 1 week. So that's why we're going to take care of those a little bit later in this hour.
Wouldn't slammed from the airways be a lot better a term?
Well, slammed or taking a bump. They're,
right. You should use a wrestling term, I think.
Well, taking a bump is definitely a wrestling term. I mean,
you said bumped.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like a auto term, driving bumped, bumper car.
Well, yeah, also taking a bump is a wrestling term, though, also.
I'm just trying to, help improve things. That's all.
I know. No, I see where you were going with it.
I'll quit.
There are multiple directions that this can go, Nick Cataldi.
Thank you. I'm glad to have you back.
I'm glad to be back.
Yes. Anyway,
was it lonely in here without me?
Of course.
Of course. It's lonely in here with me. Who are we kidding? Craziness. All right. Well, one of the bits of news that didn't quite make last week's air because it happened on Thursday when I was already across the border, but Matt Bourne, you remember in the early 90s as the original Doink the Clown in the WWF, passed away last Friday. He was found dead at the age of 56. Police in Plano, Texas, telling TMZ.com that they believe that the death of Bourne was accidental. However, they have launched a homicide investigation as that is standard operating procedure, and an autopsy report is still pending. So that's kind of a shame. I remember, one of the first things I remember watching was Doink the Clown. I believe it was, that was when there were two of them at WrestleMania 9 when in his match against Kona Crush, if you remember going back that far. And we talked a little bit also, I believe, last week about Jake the Snake Roberts. Well, his relapse into using alcohol, of course, he's down there in Atlanta, part of the Accountability Crib with Diamond Dallas Page and the DDP Yoga. Well, his relapse into using alcohol is chronicled in a set of videos released by Dallas Page. And, of course, he's helping Roberts get his life back on track. Hopefully it's just a speed bump in the road. He met up with an old friend, went out and had a couple of drinks, and has been kind of kicking himself a lot afterward because he thinks he blew it. But, well... Dallas is there to kind of say, you know what, it's just like with the DDP Yoga. As far as your balance, if you fall, just get back up again. This is just a slight stumble. And, Dallas noted in the videos that since coming to the house, he's been, cocaine-free and crack-free for the 9 months that he's been there. And, I mean, if having a couple of drinks, slipping up, that one day out of, 200 and however many days that he's been there, but just check out the videos. It's I'll put them up on the Facebook fan page after the show if you haven't seen them. I believe there are 3 or 4 videos. I'll send the links up on the page. And One of the things you can check out, part of the news and notes, and we'll get to the phones in just a second. In case you missed it, also from this past Sunday, WWE Hall of Famers Ric Flair and Roddy Piper and their significant others swapped on ABC this past Sunday. Ric Flair's girlfriend, Wendy Barlow, and Piper's wife, Kitty Toombs, trading places on the ABC show Celebrity Wife Swap. Wendy might look familiar if you see the video. It's up on the Pro Wrestling Weekly Facebook fan page. Wendy was Fifi the maid on Ric Flair's WCW interview show, A Flair for the Gold, from back in 1993, and they've obviously known each other for the last 20 years, and now they're dating. Obviously, they both have rather noted pasts, to say the least. At least in Fifi's case, maybe not as noted, or I should say Wendy, but you also know her as Fifi. But she's got kids from a previous marriage. You'll see it all in the video. I have the entire episode up on the WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly Facebook fan page. The wife swap of Ric Flair and Roddy Piper.
Why are you grinning at me?
You looked like you had something to say.
Say about it. You pulled it a few weeks ago. What up next, Allie? He's grinning at me, folks. He's like smirking at me. Like I'm
a smart aleck. It's what I do.
And very well, I might add. You might add.
Yeah,
Somebody might add.
Yeah, exactly.
Who names himself?
You're adding, and I resemble that remark.
Fifi. It's a dog's name.
Well, in this case, it was a maid's name.
Brother.
I don't know. This was 93. Things were a little bit different back then.
Back then?
I know. I feel bad saying it too.
Then
I know. You're like back then. That was like a couple of weeks ago compared to. Yes.
It goes kind of quickly after a while.
Yes, indeed it does. But 20 years ago, actually, we've got a clip. Look, I don't know why I'm like focused in on '93. I mean, between Matt Bourne's passing and of course Fifi the maid from '93, and a little bit later in the show, I've got a clip. Of course, this past Thursday being the 4th of July, it marked the 20-year anniversary of a rather noted event, and we'll have that for you later in the show. Just kind of looking back, feeling a little patriotic, but we'll get to that a little bit later. This is weird for me. I had 2 national holidays celebrated in a span of 4 days. I was up north in Canada for Canada Day, and then driving back home here on Tuesday the 2nd, and then celebrating for the 4th of July. So I got to see dual fireworks shows, one up in Canada and then one down here. Not a bad week. Have to do that more often. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, every week I'll do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Once a week.
Well, I think the Trent Thunder, they have a lot of fireworks shows. Maybe I'll just go over there. Once a week. That's what Sundays are for me, yeah. except for tomorrow. Actually, I've got a bonus on-air shift here at BCB. I'll be here from noon until 6 tomorrow, so that should be kind of fun. All right, let's get to the phones. I know Old School has been hanging on for a little bit here, and we'll go ahead and bring him up here. Old School, welcome to the program. Hey, what's going on?
I was wondering what's going on with Raven.
Raven. Oh, man, there's a name I haven't heard in quite a while.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, I know he was doing some work in the independents for a bit. I know he had some substance issues since leaving TNA a little while ago. Good old Scott Levy. Man, he's been around for quite a while. But as far as what he's doing now, I mean, it's kind of one of those deals when you're not on TV. Who really knows what's going on? I mean, he's probably doing a lot of appearances, maybe wrestling on occasion. He's not too far up there. He's 48, but obviously he's put his body through a lot, to say the least. All those hardcore matches in ECW, and even going back to his days as Johnny Polo. But as far as what he's up to now, not a whole much as far as TV goes. I think he's just he's making appearances, doing autograph things, maybe wrestling here there every once in a while.
He had some kind of surgery down his shoulder a while back.
Yeah, that's he did have something going on with his shoulder back in October. He was actually up not too far from where I crossed the border there in Niagara Falls, and threw out his shoulder while performing a DDT. Still finished the match, and cut a promo afterward. But so I guess he's on the mend from that. I know he was doing a little bit of wrestling, but haven't paid too much attention, at least in the immediate realm.
What about Scott Steiner? What happened to him?
Scott Steiner, actually, he wrestled not too long ago at the House of Hardcore show that I was promoting that Ric Flair was at. He teamed up with his brother Rick Steiner, and they both wrestled on that particular card over at the Guard Armory in Northeast Philadelphia.
He was having shows done too, or something.
Well, Scott's man, he is still a big dude, even though he's got to be north of 50 at this point, he'll be 51, or let me do the math. Yeah, he'll be 51 coming up in a few weeks. And he's still he's not the televised Big Papa Pump that he once was, but his muscles haven't exactly shriveled away either.
Yeah, okay, I appreciate that.
No problem. Do you have anything else, old school?
No, that's all.
All right, thanks so much for the call. Greatly appreciate the test of knowledge or whatever it is that comes in the case of old school. Yes, Nick. Oh, you hit the mic if you were going to say something.
When you said old school, made me think of something, but I don't want to just run away with it. So we'll get to it later.
Are you sure? Oh.
Well, you want to do it? You can answer a question right now if you want to.
I can certainly try.
Old school,
believe me, I never implied that I have all the answers.
Well, I don't understand how someone. I was reading about an old school wrestler, Johnny Rods.
Johnny Rods, okay.
Yeah, who was a perennial loser. At least whenever I saw him, he was the guy that lost. Mm-hmm. Which I always found annoying, actually. But how did he wound up in the Hall of Fame? Because you mentioned somebody else being in the Hall of Fame. He wound up in the Hall of Fame. They have it for jobbers? I
think it's for other contributions to the business. Maybe as far as like booking or backstage stuff, things like that.
Yeah, he has a school. I don't mean to put him down personally. I'm just curious how things work.
Oh, I know. Believe me, I was doing the same thing, scratching my head when it was announced a couple of years ago when Coco Beware was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. I'm thinking, the mid-card guy with the parrot? What the heck is he? Right. Why is he in there along the lines of like Hulk Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter and Roddy Piper and hopefully soon Randy Savage? I know that topic never gets old.
Well, why he's not being even considered? Or?
Oh gosh, yeah. Let me quick catch you up on that.
Yeah, really.
After he left the World Wrestling Federation in '94, went over to WCW. There was bad blood between Randy Savage and Vince McMahon for a long time. And the reasons why have been widely debated, some of which, I don't know, I think I've talked about it on the program.
He's a spiteful sort.
He is.
I think he is.
He has no problem telling somebody he doesn't like, you're fired.
Well, not only that, it just said what he's willing to do after the fight. It's It's sort of like, I might not like somebody, but I don't necessarily minimize their
efforts.
Contributions.
They do stuff like that.
It's like with you, we know how I feel about you, but I still think you do a good job.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah. Regular guy, aren't
despite your thoughts personally.
No, all kidding aside, we've had such discussions about such people and fighters, and I wasn't a big Larry Holmes fan, but the guy was, I grew to like him a little better later on, but as a fighter he was very good. He was excellent. I can't say he wasn't.
Yeah, you respect their talent even if their character isn't necessarily something you agree with.
Randy Savage, I think, should be a shoo-in in WWE. I just would,
Yeah, part of it I think was the way that Savage left in '94. Yeah. That's.
I'm not suggesting he did anything right either. I'm talking about the overall thing for the fan. Yeah. That shouldn't be about. Yeah, right.
It shouldn't be about Vince McMahon's personal issues.
He does own it, but still in all, it's very idealistic of me to say that, I guess. But it should be about how we perceived him. Fans.
It took how many years for the fences to be mended between WWE and Bruno Sammartino?
Well, that was another given. You're right.
That you'd think that if anything was a shoo-in, that would be. Right. But it took a really long time for him to come around. And it took pretty much kind of pushing Vince off to the side, and Triple H coming in and saying, "All right, look,
Yeah,
Dad's getting up there. He's pushing 70.
Yeah.
He's stuck in his ways. We're trying to move things in a new direction."
Well, very good for Triple H. It was very commendable. Yes.
Yeah, so here's hoping that the next step is for him to go to Lanny Poffo and the rest of the Poffo family and say, all right, what can we do to get Randy in? But I think the kind of line drawn in the sand is that Lanny wants the entire Poffo family inducted. Father Angelo Poffo.
Right.
As well as Randy and of course, himself, for his contributions as Leaping Lanny Poffo and the Genius.
He would always come up with a poem because the opponent, he'd go to get beat. Shut up, stupid. You're dumb.
Oh, I know. What next? Paul Roma inducted as part of the Four Horsemen? I mean, come on now. Well, they already inducted the Horsemen.
At least when Cassius Clay, the then Cassius Clay, later Muhammad Ali, for those who get offended, when he had a poem, he won the fight. You know what I mean? He won.
He was one of the first great promo guys.
Oh, exactly.
Believe me, the World Wrestling Federation tried to latch onto him, as early as they could once Vince McMahon went national, and unfortunately by that point Ali was out of the ring. By that point the pugilist Parkinson's had developed.
We also
but
talked
they
about
still
it being a Gorgeous George thing actually that he jumped on. He hit his wagon too. But at least when he had a poem, he recited his poems. He won the fight.
He won exactly.
Leaping Lanny would lose.
Yeah, but that's a long time. That's a long time debate that's been going on. How the heck did we get into this topic? I feel like we just went on a tangent for about 5 minutes.
I brought up Johnny Rods.
You brought up Johnny Rods, and that led to the whole
I didn't want to mess
discussion.
you up. I really didn't.
Oh no, there's believe me, I go on tangents all the time. This is not the first time.
I go to Croydon.
You go to Croydon?
Well, you go to Tangent. I go to Croydon.
Oh, okay.
I thought Tangent was in Upper Bucks County.
I think so. I think you go past 611. Yeah,
Tangent,
something along there.
Oh.
I don't know. I'll have to get my map out during a timeout or something. All right. Well, we'll talk Money in the Bank on the other side. That's right. We've got we'll talk a little Money in the Bank now, including some words from Mark Henry that we'll get into in just a second. Let me run down the lineup for you because it's actually looking like a pretty stacked card. We've got on the pre-show or the kickoff match, you've got The Shield, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns taking on and defending their titles against the Usos, Jimmy and Jey Uso. I'll have my predictions certain to go wrong. Well, it won't be on next week's program, but I'm going to do a video webisode. Should be interesting. Going to put it right up to YouTube. And I think also, we're going to do some online exclusive stuff this week, including, I believe this Monday, I'm going to be doing an interview, or at least I'm scheduled to, with a current WWE superstar who is rather featured at the moment, including for the lineup of the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. I already noted it on the Facebook fan page. I figured, keeping with online exclusives, you can go ahead and check it out there. Plus, I like, providing traffic to the site. Thinking about these things, promotion. It's all about promotion, right? Something like that. Also, you've got AJ Lee defending the Divas Championship against Caitlyn. The Intercontinental title is on the line as Curtis Axel takes on The Miz. You've got Chris Jericho against Ryback. You've got the World title on the line. Dolph Ziggler looking to reclaim it from Alberto Del Rio, who is without Ricardo Rodriguez. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then you've got the two Money in the Bank ladder matches. First for the World Championship. An interesting dynamic. All 7 members in the match are all heels, which is kind of a head-scratcher. But yeah, you've got Wade Barrett, Cody Rhodes, Damian Sandow, Dean Ambrose, your current U.S. champion, Fandango, Jack Swagger, and Antonio Cesaro. All heels, all going for the World Heavyweight Championship. And then you've got all baby faces, all good guys, in what they're calling the Money in the Bank All-Stars match. Which, I'm sorry, when I hear something All-Stars, I'm waiting for Alan Ludden to come out like he did in 1974 for Password All-Stars. Okay, Nick chuckled at least at that, and the rest of you are going, what in the heck is he talking about? What is this password that you speak of? Look it up, kids. There's YouTube, there's internet.
It still runs something of it.
It still runs some of it. I don't think they have enough episodes of Password All-Stars to run it, though. That was a very short-lived, that was during that ABC run in the early 70s. But I could go on a complete tangent about that, and I'm not going to. Must be the heat getting to me. We're already closing in on 90 degrees, and it's barely past noon here. Craziness. But you've got Kane, Randy Orton, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Christian, Sheamus, and Rob Van Dam. And then finally, the WWE Championship on the line. John Cena defending against Mark Henry. And he had some rather notable words this past Monday on Raw.
My name is Mark Henry, and I'm known as the strongest man in the world. And I didn't get that name out of some Cracker Jack box either. I earned it. Because as being the youngest kid, I was the strongest kid. When I was in Texas breaking world records, I represented the United States in the Olympics in 92 and 96. I've legitimately maintained that status ever since I entered the WWE 17 years ago, where I earned the respect of every superstar that I ever worked with. But in a professional environment, there's jealousy, there's politics, and there's a lot of backstabbing. There's a lot of accidental injuries. All these years, all these many years, I've earned it. They never gave me a legitimate opportunity to be the WWE champion. All the thousands of miles that I traveled, all the nights that I spent away from my family, all the years that I pretended that I liked the boys, all the years of doing the right thing for the business. Well, that got me nowhere. Damn it, I deserve to be the WWE champion. After all the years that I've given to this organization, all the things and all the time that I've gave to you people, I've earned the right to be the WWE champion. Like I said before, you hang on every single word I say. You're just a bunch of puppets. At the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, now that I finally have my chance, nobody's going to keep me down. Nobody's going to keep me down anymore. I'm going to do the right thing, all right? I'm going to do the right thing for me. And after I beat John Cena, nobody in the world will be able to deny me. All of you people, you're going to say, God, that Mark Henry, he earned that WWE championship. Yeah, you're going to say it, but I want this camera right in my face. I want this to sink in clear. John Cena, at Money in the Bank, I'm going to beat your ass.
Promo would have rung a lot truer, or at least had a lot more, effect to it if after every breath or pause, the crowd wasn't doing the now extremely dated and extremely tired "what" chants. I don't know. That's just something. I'm going to take a page from Peter Griffin's book. That's just something that grinds my gears. After every pause, what? That somebody says, what? They throw that what in there. They've been doing it since Austin first brought it in 2002, and it's just been taking heat away from promos pretty much 1 week at a time, to take a line from Doug, who posted on the Facebook fan page, killing radio 1 week at a time, having a little fun at my expense as far as this show. Good job, Doug. Way to be. But I don't know. The what chance, I don't know. Is there any way to collectively get the entire wrestling audience around the world to just stop with them? I know it's not going to happen. That's like asking for world peace. Actually, world peace is probably more likely than getting the fans to stop with the what chance. But I don't know. It's one of those things that irks me and grinds my gears. All right, let's take care of some business here. We'll come back, after paying some bills. We'll talk a little TNA. We'll figure out what's going on with the whole Austin Aries and suicide thing. In case you missed that, I've got an updated Bound for Glory series standings, including one player, or one of the 12 wrestlers in negative point values, something I never thought I'd see. We'll talk about that coming up, and a whole bunch more news, notes, and otherwise. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.